Bro Tales presents Donald Hears a Me Too by Billy Broseph. Illustrated by Magic Mark and narrated by Meg Dixon. On a day in late fall in the jungle of York, high above all, eating with a gold fork, he was gloating, recalling his many great feats, when Donald the Swindler saw a small tweet. Allegations of sexual assault, the tweet said, and Donald's orange face turned suddenly red. And what's more, at the end of its stunning debut was a curious hashtag that read out, Me Too. So Donald stopped gloating and looked out in shock.
"It's not real,"
whined Donald.
"That's locker room talk."
There it was on the news, that peculiar hashtag. As he watched and he watched, Donald started to gag.
"That's fake news,"
shouted Donald.
"There's no truth to that."
Then he looked out his window and with scorn he did spat at a one-woman rally in a vibrant pink hat.
"What a loser,"
whined Donald.
"This must be a jest. This must be a nasty woman protest. So you know what I think? What do I think of pink hats? It must all be paid for by the weak donkeycrats. These allegations are false. Everybody agrees that no one has more respect for women than me."
But in the lying news media, the allegations persisted when headlines broke that a P-tape existed. In his limo, Donald grumbled as he drove down an alley, ignoring Me Too's on the way to his rally. Donald slammed on the podium with his mighty small hands as he shouted and motioned to his thousands of fans.
"Believe me,"
said Donald.
"let me tell you again, I would never be with such unattractive woman."
The crowd was enamored, wearing red MAGA hats, pleased with their leader, unlike most bureaucrats. But in the back of the rally, as clearly as day, pink hats held up signs that just got in the way. What began as one person had started to grow, and Donald knew it was time for these Me Toos to go.
"Get him out of here."
Donald jumped like a wild kangaroo, and as his guards approached, the pink hats cried out, "Me too!" Through crumbling cities, the news quickly spread. Donald had been elected as the state's very head.
"Just look at you, Donald,"
he thought with great pride.
"You made it to the White House, and you barely tried. And those Me Toos, now they'll finally see that no one has more respect for women than me."
Then Donald stopped gloating and nearly he choked. On TV, another allegation from a woman he groped.
"Fake news,"
Donald shouted, messing up his gold do.
"I've got to do something about this Me Too."
So Donald snatched up the phone. He was really annoyed, and he yelled to his TV lawyer, Rudy Schadenfreude.
"These Me Toos are out of control with their lies. They're writing about it in the failing York Times. These Me Toos must be stopped. They're getting too pushy. I'll grab each and every one of them by the pussy."
And before his lawyer could even expound, just then from the window there came a huge sound. And right there outside, with signs and loud cheers, a sea of pink-hatted protesters were hurting his ears. They chanted and shouted on huge megaphones, making noise with horns, FUs and booming trombones. And then together with all of their voices like glue, the pink hats they shouted, "Me too!"
"I hate those pink hats,"
said Donald.
"What a sad decoration, and this crowd so much smaller than my inauguration."
Then Donald the Swindler closed the blinds with a huff.
"I must be tough on these Me Toos,"
he thought.
"Really tough."
Donald's beady eyes lit up like fiery light beams, and he called in his sons to explain his dark schemes. Oh, what a scheme it was, but so very bizarre, that even his sons thought he was going too far. Then Donald, he laughed, signing orders with stamps. He would lock away all those Me Toos in work camps. With the help of his pals at Putin Construction, and despite efforts of donkeycratic obstruction, Donald bussed the Me Too's on a far southern hall and forced them to erect a huge border wall. But at night, when the work was done there, the Pink Hats all gathered in the work camp main square. Together in thousands, like a massive kazoo, they yelled, "Me too, me too, me too, me too." And those loud voices carried in the wind very well, soaring right to the ears of the Special Council. Finally, Donald relaxed as he popped off his shoes. He could rule without Pink Hats and without those Me Toos. Now, while the Pink Hats toiled with shovel and hoe, he would laugh playing golf at Mar-a-Lago. Ahem, hummed a voice. And when he turned to it, Donald nearly fell. Right there in the doorway, the Special Council.
Mr. President,
The council began.
I cannot yet place fault, but we need to talk about sexual assault. I heard those Me Toos, yes, I heard what they said, and my investigation has uncovered quite a long thread. I've talked to your chairman and children and friends. No, things are not looking too good on your end. I need you to testify and do so post-haste. Please gather your lawyer and ready your case.
The flashbulbs were flashing as Donald approached the great hall. Not a Pink Hat in sight, not a Me Too at all. Donald laughed as he yelled,
It's all just a stunt. I will put an end to this rigged witch hunt.
Inside, Donald growled at the members of Congress. There was Bernie and Hillary, and of course Pocahontas. He pulled out a mirror and admired his tan, as folks took their seats and the trial began.
My client is innocent,
Said Rudy.
He's a really great guy. It's clear that you people are telling a lie. He's an innocent man, very free of wrongdoing. There's no evidence at all. We should be suing. And even if he did do it, it isn't a crime. Either way, these women wanted it. Big time.
Making a motion that his speech was complete, Donald's lawyer then smiled and sat down in his seat. The special counsel now stood, and as he took to the floor, he unfurled a scroll so long that it rolled out the door. Donald sneered and he snarled many hundreds of times as the special counsel listed out all of his crimes.
Sexual assault, treason, obstruction,
The counsel went on, turning blue.
buffoonery, loony toonery, and embezzlement too.
And when it was over, the chairperson up high by herself asked Donald what he had to say for himself.
It's all false.
Explained Donald.
Completely untrue. I'm the most truthful person, much more truthful than you. For my entire campaign, these dogs have insisted on these offenses of mine which have never existed. I'm like a smart person, and here's my plea that no one has more respect for this nation than me.
And in no time at all, the chairperson spoke as she pulled a pink hat out from under her cloak. I move to impeach, said the chair, as chair people do, and the rest of the Congress, they all shouted, Me too. Now many miles from the big shiny towers of York, Donald waits in a cell with a small plastic fork. Through the spring and the fall, and when summers are warm, he wears a required hot pink uniform. Sentenced to life, with hair gone from golden to pale, there sits a quite stable genius, all locked up in jail. And every day gathered at 2:15, outside of his window, Me Too's cheer, F you. And if you wonder how Donald is doing by whim, know that no one has more respect for justice than him.